Hi there! Do you want to learn Power Automate and simplify your workflows? In this video, I will share one of the lessons from my Power Automate module on my Udemy course. If you want to access the course, check the pinned comment below or become a channel member to unlock all the lessons. Let's get started. Without further ado, let's get started building our instant cloud flow that concatenates the emails from the approvers. At this time, we are going to do something more efficient and different from what we did before. Let's go to our solution and start creating the flow. Here I'm on our solution called Learning Power Automate, and I'm going to click on New, Automation, Cloud Flow, and now it's going to be the instant one. This window is almost the same, but now I have triggers for instant flows. And the one that we are going to use is this one, manually trigger a flow. So it's a flow that I can go and trigger manually, but I can also call this flow from others. Let's give it a name. So I'll call it manual, and then loads, approvers, emails, and click on create. Here we have the old version again. Let's just add the first action to save and go back to the new version. We know that we need to read the approvers from the SharePoint lists. So let's do that. New step, get items. So we are going to select get items from SharePoint. And then we inform what's our site. In my case is timesheet app. What's the list? In my case is approvers. And then we can save. Again, we get this warning saying that we are not filtering anything. So we are bringing all the rows. That's fine. Now I'm going to go back. So I go to my solution and then I can open the flow again. And this time it will open using the new interface. And then we are in the new version. And now we need to concatenate the emails again. Last time we created a variable and in a for each loop we appended to that variable. But now I don't want to have this loop because imagine we have 500 items. That would take minutes just to get the emails. And there is a more efficient way to do that. What we are going to do now is we are going to use the data operation called select. So let's click on add and let's search by select. Here we have data operation and we have select. If you don't find searching like this, you can search by the runtime and it's in the built-in. Once you select built-in, we have data operation and then inside it we have select. Let's click on it and this select will get a result from the previous output, that's an array of data, and we can select specific columns. So we want to select from the value that is the output of the previous action that has all the rows, and we want to select just the email column. But here, in order to make it even easier, we could give a name, for example, email, and then we can select the email. So we just select here and click on email from the get items. And that will create a new array with just the email. We can run and test to see how it works. Let's try it. I'm going to click on test. And now since I never run it before, I'll click on manually, but it doesn't matter because that's a manual flow. It will execute a new run every time. It's not depending on any condition. Just on my condition, that is go and play the flow. And now let's click on publish and test. So it will run and load all the rows from the approvers and then run the select action. First, I just need to sign in to SharePoint. Let's click on continue and run flow. So it started running because I played the flow from a manual trigger, got the items from SharePoint and called the select. Just to remember, the output of the get items is a big array like this, and we have the value with all the rows and all the columns. And now in the selects, I passed that in the input, and the output is just an array with the email key and value. Now it makes easier to visualize because we extracted only the emails. And we want to concatenate that without using an apply to each. That takes a long time if we have a lot of data. Now let's go back to edit our flow. And here what I'm going to do is I'm going to change to text mode. And here we can see a mapping is the same as the visual mapping that we have in here, but here is a JSON object with the key and the value. What happens is that if I delete everything and just keep the email in here, the output when I run this flow will be different again. Now we won't have the key and value, we will just have an array of emails, and that makes very easy to join them. Just pay attention that if I click outside here, since I forgot to remove the enter that we have in here, we are going to have an error saying that this JSON is not valid, but it's just because I forgot to remove the last character that's an enter that's in here. I'll just press backspace and click outside it, and now it's working fine. Let's now test it and see what's the output of the select after we just left the email in the map. So let's run manually, publish and test, run flow, done. And now let's take a look at the output of this select. As we can see, now we just have an array with the emails, and that's very easy to concatenate now using one expression in Power Automate. Let's edit the flow and create a new step that will concatenate that. So I'm going to click in this plus icon, and we can use a compose action. Compose, and in the inputs, we can click in this FX, and here we can insert expressions. Power Automate also gives us a lot of expressions to use in strings, arrays, dates, logical functions, conversions, and so on. And we have one expression that's called join. That's a collection function. Basically have an array that's a collection of emails. We click on this one, it will bring here in the top, and now we need to inform what we want to join and what's the character that we want to use to separate each value. So let's click on dynamic content, and here inside join, I'm going to select the output of the select action that we just did. Now I'm going to add a comma, and I need to put the delimiter inside single quotes. So let's add single quotes, and inside it I'm going to add a semicolon. This is going to get the output of the select action and join the objects with the semicolon, and then we will have the emails joined. Let's try. I'm going to click on add to add these expressions to the input of the compose. I'm just going to rename the compose, so compose concatenated emails. And for the selects, I will just add an extra part to the name that's get select only emails. Okay, now we can run and see what's the output of this. Let's see what we have in this compose. We can see that we have now the emails, Rudimar and Clark, joined by a semicolon. And it took less than 1 second. It was very quick. If you remember, in the previous flow that we did, just for 2 emails, it took around 3 seconds. Now imagine for 100 emails. So this is way more efficient because we don't need to apply to it. It just concatenates all at once. Now we have the output we need for our next flow. That's the flow that we want to use these emails to send the automated email with the summary of the tasks from that day. As we can see here in the presentation, now this step is completed and we are ready to start building this flow that will run on a scheduled base from Monday to Friday, loading all tasks from that day, formatting as a table, and sending to the approvers. This flow itself is ready, we can run manually, but when we want to call this flow as a child flow, we need to do some adjustments on it. And we are going to see this when we are building the next flow. And we are going to start in the next lesson. See you there. Do you want to watch the classes without any interruptions? By becoming a channel member or purchasing the course, you can watch ad-free and support the future of my content creation. Check out the link in the description and in the pinned comment to get started. See you in the next lesson.